UK COVID inquiry, Nicola Sturgeon's COVID WhatsApp messages, all deleted. What happened? Oh no, what happened? What? Did your finger slip? Did your finger slip and delete all of the messages? Like it said all, because that's what it says, they're all deleted. Why did you delete all of those messages? What was in those messages? Wonder what happened. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've heard some sketchy stuff about all this COVID regulation shit that the governments were doing to the point where all the people that were involved in it are now all panicking and running for the fucking hills. Some of them are even deleting all of their WhatsApp messages and stuff, which is boggles the mind. I don't know why they're doing that. I'm starting to think these people might have something to hide, but hey ho, let's get into the article. All Nicola Sturgeon's WhatsApp messages during the pandemic appear to have been deleted, the COVID inquiry has heard. Jamie Dawson KC, counsel to the inquiry, said the former First Minister appeared to have retained no messages whatsoever. Now, one of the funny things about it is as soon as the COVID inquiry was launched, everyone involved was told specifically, do not delete any of your messages and hand them over to the inquiry. But it seems an awful lot of people just deleted all of these messages. It's mental, isn't it? How mad is that? The hearing in Edinburgh was also told that her deputy, John Swinney's WhatsApp messaging was set to auto-delete. Now, if it's set to auto-delete, I can understand if you're working in government, but if that's something you're concerned about, then why are you using WhatsApp? Where Big Zuck could just fucking read your messages if he wants. Miss Sturgeon has previously said that she has nothing to hide, but not clarified if her WhatsApp messages were deleted. The UK COVID inquiry, which is sitting in Scotland for 3 weeks, was taking evidence from senior servant Leslie Fraser, Director General Corporate at the Scottish Government. Miss Fraser said relatively new technologies such as Zoom were being used during the pandemic and that records may not have been retained in the way they might be now, when a digital footprint is more likely to be created. Mr Dawson then questioned her about a table supplied by the Scottish Government last October, summarising ministers' use of notebooks, retention of messages, and other forms of communication. He said, under the box Nicola Sturgeon, it says that messages were not retained, they were deleted in routine tidying up of inboxes or changes of phones, unable to retrieve messages. Now, I don't have auto delete on my WhatsApp. I have had to delete a message before because I tried to call my friend a retard. However, I accidentally sent that to my mother. so and I deleted it, but she's seen it like right away, and she just wrote back, "Excuse me," and I was like, sending a message to my friend. Sorry, I forgot that you were the last person I spoke to. Apologies, mum. And she's like, "You talk to your friends like that?" And I was like, "Shut up, retard." I'm kidding on. I didn't say that to my mother. I'm very, very pleasant to my mother. I'm a nice boy. I'm a mummy's boy. I'm very nice to my mum. She's an idiot, but I'm nice. I'm kidding on. I don't mean that. I've just read that part. What that tends to suggest is at the time that request was made to Nicola Sturgeon, the former First Minister of Scotland, had retained no messages whatsoever in connection with her management of the pandemic. Now, maybe it was malicious deletion because obviously they were all up to all kinds of stuff, and basically I've got a feeling that whenever there's like a big major world event and at the time it's fine, but then 20, 30 years down the line people start getting fucking prosecuted for it, I think that is going to be the case with the COVID inquiry. I think in the future a lot of shady stuff is going to come out about all of this. However, see if it's a case of I work in government, so all of my stuff is set to auto-delete, no backups, all of that stuff for security reasons, then I would be like, all right, okay, I would accept that. However, if they actually look into it and it turns out that they went through and manually deleted it, everything else is all backed up and everything else is all saved, but all of that stuff specifically was deleted, then that's a big red flag. That is a big red flag. Mr. Fraser replied, "That's what that indicates to me." She also confirmed that the Scottish Government had been unable to supply Miss Sturgeon's messages from its corporate record, which is interesting. The documents indicate that former Deputy First Minister John Swinney's messages were either deleted manually or by using the app's auto-delete function. Ms Fraser said ministers may have managed their messages involving their private offices in such a way to stop the messages becoming unmanageable. Which that doesn't really make sense. The app does it for you. She said some messages were simply banter that did not need to be retained, and others may have been lost when phones were upgraded. Well, it's on the old phones. So get the old phone. You don't keep your old phone. Don't throw away your old phone, by the way. Jesus Christ. The amount of stuff that can be recovered from that. The inquiry also heard from retired civil servant Ken Thompson, who said electronic messaging grew very rapidly during the pandemic because obviously no one was allowed to go outside and talk to each other. He said the policy was to retain a formal record of decision making, but many messages were simply exchanges of information. He was asked about posts he made in a COVID outbreak group chat in August 2020, which included the Deputy Chief Medical Officer and National Clinical Director Jason Leach. In it, he reminds them the messages are freedom of information discoverable and urges participants to use the clear chat button. Why would they be so set on deleting it? Like, that's the thing is, if it was like freedom of information, like for me, or something like that, and it was my banter, I'd be like, yeah, I want that out there. But I get these people are like, like, he said what? And he goes, he believes it was how many? Like that type of stuff. I would give a shit about that out there. But that's the thing is, these people have a facade to keep up, right? I'm worried about people finding out that I'm not actually as racist as I make myself out to be. My career will be over. It'll be ruined. But basically, it's just suspicious. That's what it is. Basically, I think that if the government are trying to not show us something, that it's because they've got something to fucking hide. We're not showing this to the public because the public are going to get really fucking angry about it, which I think is the case for about 99% of the shit that goes on in the background in the government. He also remarks, plausible deniability is my middle name. Funny that, Jesus Christ. Mr. Thompson denied this was an attempt to defeat requests under Freedom of Information laws. Yeah, but it is. Specifically, that's what you said. Everyone remember that these are FOI discoverable, so use the clear chat function. You specifically tried to stop the messages getting out from Freedom of Information requests and then denying it's an attempt to defeat requests under the Freedom of Information Act. Like, that's bullshit. You've just admitted that it was. Idiot. He suggested private information might be disclosed in such chats and that it was policy to transfer salient information to the public record. In another WhatsApp group post in May 2021, he wrote, I feel moved at this point to tell you that this chat is FOI recoverable. He includes an emoji with a zipped mouth. 2 minutes later, Professor Jason Leach responded, WhatsApp deletion is a pre-bed ritual. Funny thing for the government to say. I love how it wasn't a concern about enemies of the state finding out. You know, it wasn't anything a worry about China or Russia or anybody else. It was a worry about the public finding out. So they can't talk, it was a matter of national security. Yeah, but Russia and China can't file an FOI request. That's specifically for the public or journalists or something like that. Right? Russia and China can't do it. Only members of the British public can do it. So it was them you were trying to hide this from. And the only reason you'd be hiding that information from the public is it would make you look bad and make them very, very angry, right? So that means you were saying some stuff that you knew would piss people off. Because of course you were. You're a fucking government official. He said the context of the discussion was there was a new COVID variant and that a tweet from a diehard Rangers supporter was circulating, saying there would be no risk from a forthcoming fans' march due to take place against official regulations. He said he was in an oblique way urging Mr. Leach to take a deep breath before commenting on the tweet in the WhatsApp discussion. Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross and Miss Sturgeon and Mr. Swinney had huge questions to answer over their conduct. By deleting all their WhatsApp messages, they defied an inquiry's clear instructions from June 2021 that all relevant messages had to be retained, he said. He said secrecy and evasion had been the hallmarks of her government and added this shameful cover-up, which amounts to a digital torching of vital evidence, is the most scandalous example of it. Scottish Labour's Jackie Baillie and Miss Sturgeon had gone back on undertakings made in 2021 that correspondence would be kept and handed over to future inquiries. Nicola Sturgeon has completely broken her promise to the people of Scotland. Not the first time, she said. Miss Sturgeon is due to give evidence to the inquiry during its evidence sessions in Scotland in the coming weeks, where she is going to do exactly what she always does and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie because, well, she's a politician. So yeah, I think we've all realised at this point that the government was up to some mad fucking dodgy shit. However, I still don't fully trust the COVID inquiry because people are saying it's an independent inquiry, but it's a lot of people in the government that are involved in running the inquiry. So notice how like it's not really happening to anyone in Westminster, but it is happening a lot in Scotland, kind of to try and damage the SNP an awful lot. So yeah. Yeah, basically, I don't. This is the problem: is you don't know who's fucking lying. It's a case of it's all people for the government involved in this, and they're all liars. So I don't know who to believe. So we can sit back and see what happens with the outcome of this inquiry.